As you start to query a SQL database, one thing that's very important is the order of the results that you get back from the database. And the order by clause is what we use to sort the data that's being returned by a query. Now, you've seen me use this already in the course, and I've kind of touched on it a little bit, but here I want to give you the whole story, if you will, on order by. Order by is going to sort the results that come back based on whatever column or multiple columns that you specify. And I'll show you a demo of this in just a minute. But understand that by default, all of your database tables are stored in a certain order. Now, the database administrator or designer made this decision for you, and whatever clustered index they put on that table, that's the physical order in which that data is being stored. That may or may not be what you need in your results. And for all kinds of reasons from time to time, although it's usually kind of rare, they could change that clustered index to try to improve query performance or input-output performance, and that could change the results of your queries as far as the order of the data that's coming back. So the bottom line is you always want to use an order by if results order is important, and usually it is. Now, with the order by clause, we can sort in ascending order or descending. Ascending would be A through Z, right? 1 through 9. Descending would be Z to A, 9 to 1, 9 to 0, whatever. And ascending order is the default. If you just put order by and you do not mention ascending or descending, your results will be in ascending order. There's a lot of people out there that strongly encourage you to don't just depend on defaults, but put it down there ascending. So when you come back in 5 months and have to troubleshoot this, you can tell it's ascending just by looking at it. You don't have to remember what's the default. Now, nulls are treated as the lowest possible value, so just watch for that. And then I just want to touch on this right now. We're going to come back and revisit it. But with the order by clause, you can also use offset and fetch. And we can use this to control the number of rows returned. And we can use it to set up like paging functionalities in various interfaces that we might be tying to SQL Server. But again, we'll talk about that in a separate video. So now let's just go look at some examples of order by. This is pretty straightforward. And we're just going to jump out to the Management Studio. And all I've done here is started the Management Studio, connected to my database, and now I'll just click on New Query, and I'm just going to do a simple order by, and then I will show you something a little bit more interesting. And so the first thing we're going to do here is connect to our AdventureWorks database. That's the one we're using here. It's the standard sample database from Microsoft. By the way, I meant to tell you early on, and I keep failing to do this, the AdventureWorks database is the one that's used in all of the examples out there in the SQL Books Online. So you're going to be looking at a lot of the same tables we're using here. That's one reason I like to use that particular database. Well, let's start off. Let's just do a quick reminder here. Select all from all the columns from the person table. And that person table is in that person schema, right? So you've got person schema dot person table. And I will execute that. I hit F5 to execute that. It's going to bring back a bunch of rows. But you're going to notice we've got first name, last name, and we'll do email promotion, okay? So I'm going to come down and I'll select last name, first name, email promotion from person.person, okay? And let me go back to the from here and kick it down to the next line so we can see it very easily in our environment. So if I highlight that and execute it, you're going to notice they're in some order, but it doesn't look like anything I need. They're not in last name order. There's no first name order. There's no email promotion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to return down. I'm going to hit 3 or 4 returns and give myself some space. And let's just do that again. Okay, so I am just going to copy this query. I'm going to paste it right there. And this time I'm going to put order by last name. And I'm not going to mention ascending or descending, and you're going to notice it will default to ascending. And I'll click execute, and notice now my last names are in ascending order. Okay, let me scroll down and you'll see there's a bunch of Adams, Abigail, Alexanders, and at some point here, we should get into some B's. Let me just grab it over here and we'll pull it down. Yeah, C's, D's, E's. So you can tell here that this thing is in ascending order. All right, well, let's change that. Let's just type DESC. I'll put it in all caps so you can see it easily. And we'll execute it again. And notice we're starting at the Z's and going the other way. All right, well, now let's say, wait a minute though, Mark. The last name is good, but we had multiple, sometimes names like Smith and Jones and those kinds of guys. So I'm going to copy this again, and I'm going to move it down. I'm just hitting the enter key to move it down. Paste the query back in. This time I'm going to do last name, comma, first name. You know what's going to happen here. It'll all be ascending since I didn't mention anything. And whoop, I did everything. I didn't highlight. Okay, let me highlight just this query that I want. Let me stop that previous one. I've highlighted just this one that I want and hit execute. And notice now, anytime we have multiple last names that are the same, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm from Tennessee. Then notice the first name. Hazem is the first one, and then Sam is the second one. And because it alphabetized by last name and then common last names, it alphabetized those in ascending as well. Now, I want to show you one more. And I'm just going to copy this one more time, and I'll have all of these out there for you. I'll save this little example up and put it in the working files folder for you. But this time, I want to do last name as ascending, and I want to do the first name as descending. Don't know why you'd want to do this, but you might. And I want you to see that it's possible to do this. I can mix my ascending and descending. And so there they are. Notice now under Balrus, this is backwards now. Notice our first name is now in descending and our last name is in ascending. So there are a lot of things you can do with order by. We'll come back to offset and fetch later on. You'll see even more things you can do with it. But for now, I hope that helps you understand how to do order by. And by the way, you can put as many columns as you want in here, okay? So that's the lowdown on order by.